Welcome, everyone, to the Reoccurring TELx Council meeting. These reoccurring meetings provide several critical functions to our governance. They provide transparency to our community. They create structure to our forum. They provide authors the ability to present their proposals to the councils and the community. They allow the council and community to review, debate, and refine these proposals so that we can get to a place where we have consensus and mutual understanding. They provide a medium for regular TELx ecosystem updates. They ensure consistent communication between the council members and the community, and they allow the community to directly engage in Q&A with us, the council members. The TELx Council is a local governance organization with authority over and duties towards TELx operational rules, system health, and social well-being. Overview of the TELx Council is to accept, develop, and vote on TELx IPs, to change or introduce new elements to TELx, to alter TELx harvesting rules, and is responsible for generally representing the interests of and informing their constituency in matters pertaining to TELx. Duties: the TELx Council is required to 1. Plan, finance, and coordinate implementation of improvements to the TELx ecosystem. 2. Regulate the flow of TEL issuance throughout TELx to be harvested by liquidity miners. 3. Maintenance and construction. 4. Informs miners of the activities and outcomes related to TELx and results from any snapshot votes. So these snapshot votes are a requirement for all council members, and in order for a proposal to move forward, they need to be a 5 out of 6 majority vote, with all 6 members voting within a 5-day period from the start of the proposal being posted to Snapshot. So yeah, welcome everybody. I'll pass it off to Ty for the agenda and the recap of the last meeting, and then we can get into what we have on the agenda for today.
Okay. I'll just do a quick recap. I published the notes shortly after the meeting last time. The main discussion, I think, was around the TELx IP on the new V4 pools that were trying to get launched. I'm just looking actually at the attendees, and I can't see Amir online. He gave a great update last time, and I think we're expecting him to join this time, or Grant. So maybe somebody that's on the council, Dave, I see you're there, or can you email Amir, because I know he looks at emails more than Discord. Maybe email him on the council email and see if he's just remind him that the meeting's on, if you wouldn't mind doing that. Thanks. Yeah, we talked about the stage of the development of the V4 pool. They were almost complete, and the next stage was Amir was going to write some test scripts and talk to the auditors. Subsequent to that, we've had a couple of quotes from the auditors. I think we're waiting on they're certainly coming in quite pricey, and we'll be discussing them a bit later. The depreciation of the other 2 pools we're talking about, as well as the TEL-DFX and TEL-BAL, which are due to end issuance of rewards on the 5th of June. We'll be talking about depreciating TEL-MATIC and TEL-BAL. I recall. We have a new proposal for the TEL-MATIC deprecation, I should say. Sorry, I'm saying deprecation, and that'll be replaced by the new eMXN-USD pool. We've parked my proposal on the always in range for the moment until we get these hooks developed for the new pools. We'll get that bedded in first, and then we'll readdress the always in range, which I'm particularly interested in because I got blown out of range with a huge jump in TEL price compared to huge price and jump in ETH compared to TEL, and that blew me out of range. So I've been out of range on Uniswap for about 3 weeks now, just watching the price differentiation get bigger and bigger. So I'll be interested in seeing some progress on that. Always in range proposal. We did mention the missed rewards as well, and I don't know if we're going to be talking about that as to when they will be issued. I think it's when things settle down a little bit, then somebody from TEL needs to write a script and these rewards will be airdropped. I think that was all we really covered, unless anybody can think of anything else that I've missed. So the format for today will continue the IP discussions. Hopefully we'll get an update from the techie guys on the V4 pool stuff. We're talking about the TEL-BAL, the deprecation, and we've got an ongoing topic that kind of gets skirted over each meeting on budget management. I think we need to revisit that because we do have some significant bills on the horizon with regards to the audit for the new smart contracts, for the new pools, plus probably some work on the TELx website UI. So we should kind of address how we're going to manage that. And then there'll be open questions from the QA from the community. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll pass it back to the floor.
Thanks, Ty. I think Mike checked with Amir just to see if he was able to jump on. It looks like he's going to be a little bit too busy. I know I sent a note to him in Discord a couple days ago, but also forgot that he doesn't come on Discord unless he's coming on these meetings. So that's my bad too. So I just did send him an email as well, just to see if he was able to jump on. But I noticed Mike obviously was able to reach out to him probably on an internal communication. So maybe, I don't know, Mike, I know you were talking about Khalil potentially being able to jump on and providing some updates on the development on the website. But maybe we'll just kind of skip over the V4 hooks for now until we get an update from Amir, and then maybe we can just post it to X and on Discord and social media and get it posted out that way, and we can discuss a little bit more detail on the next council meeting. But yeah, Mike, do you have any updates on the development side of the website from Khalil's perspective?
I don't have anything back from Khalil, but I got an update from Amir last week. He just said as an update, he finished the code, the unit tests and script for the TELx rewards, and needs to do some on-chain testing, which he hoped to knock out tomorrow. This is as of last Tuesday. I submitted a request to both Sherlock and Spearbit for audit quotes and reached out to Khalil regarding TELx timeline updates. But I don't have a further update since last week around this time. I'll check in with him after the meeting today and see where we land, where we are with all of that, and post to see if he can't jump up onto the Discord and give us an update on the status.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I guess worst case scenario, whenever we get details, we could always just try to post it and get it out to the broader community as best as possible through Telegram, Twitter, and Discord as well. So, yeah. Okay. We also noticed, I think everybody can see the chat going on in TELx, that we got some audit bids as well from Amir. Mike, you posted this yesterday. So just looking, obviously, some pretty significant different costing when we look at Spearbit versus Cantina. Based on what you said, Mike, we're still waiting on one more from Sherlock, and do we have an idea of when that is going to be coming in?
Sherlock has not yet provided their pricing, but I'll check in with Amir on that.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to understand whether or not they plan on submitting, something for us to review and take it from there, okay. Or do we just have these two to consider? I guess we'll wait till you get back from Amir on that one, but. Mike, I don't know how much insight you have on this with like the LSR, SR, and ASRs and stuff like that. But again, I have no prior knowledge of audits and the differentiation. Like for me, I'm just looking at the difference in cost. And it seems like the one LSR and one SR is enough from Cantina to try to minimize costs, but I would love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Like I don't fully understand why one is double the other than obviously there's two, lead security researchers, maybe two is better than one, but I don't know that this is overly complex. So I would agree with you. I don't fully understand it myself. It's not really within my realm of understanding, but I can ask around and see which one would be the most recommended. Yeah, I mean, it's such a wide variety,
Well, I think it'd be good to get maybe even Grant's perspective too, because all the audits that they're going through with obviously the Telcoin network at the moment might be good to get his perspective on it as well, just from a better understanding. I know we want to obviously keep security at the highest level and make sure that there's no vulnerability, but at a cost of essentially 15 grand more, like you said, double. Is it worth that extra cost? Again, I don't know, but sorry, Ty, I think I cut you off a little.
I'm just kind of looking. What was interesting was that they're both of us the same duration, 2.5 days, which is quite a lot of work actually for 2.5 days effort. Quite a lot of cost, I think. 35 grand is huge for 2.5 days worth of effort, which.
Yeah, Amir just did Slack me back and said has got no word from Sherlock, and so just go ahead and move forward with one of the other two. I agree. I feel like I don't know the reputability we should dig into before we go ahead and pull the trigger, but it doesn't seem that's. Yeah, I mean, from a budget perspective, I think it's hard to justify $35,000 for this.
Do we have an idea of how many TEL that equates to? Andrew, you probably have that at your fingertips.
I can do that math pretty quickly, but it's obviously always going to be based on when we have to pay this out and what the cost of the current price, obviously, of TEL, right? So give me a sec and I can do the math and give you a number on both here. What do we have as price of TEL? Probably 0.0, like 4.4. Probably a fair estimate without looking.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in you're talking about difference between like 4+ million.
Yeah, so you're looking essentially right now about 7.8, 7.9 million for the Spearbit, and about 4.4 based on current price for Cantina. Million TEL.
Hey, based on the reputation for either one of these, would we do we have the capabilities to negotiate a bit too? I mean, can we kind of shop them against each other?
I would hope that maybe the TAL could help us with that. And again, maybe another good question to ask. I think Grant, might be the best one to kind of help us out with that a little bit. Maybe we can touch base with him after the call and just get his perspective and whether or not there is some room for negotiation. Like I would hope so. I feel like everything in business is probably negotiable to a certain extent. So it's got to be something we can do.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I would at least bring that up as maybe we can explore that again based on reputations and the price disparity that we're seeing for what one researcher difference. It seems large.
Crazy, yeah. The other comment I'd like to make is that obviously until we decide, then that is a choke point for getting the new pools live.
Correct.
And plus, I don't know how quickly these audit companies can actually take on a new job, or whether there's a lay off time until they get up to speed or whatever. So we do need to make a decision, I think, as a matter of priority. But I'm favouring Cantina at the moment, but you don't want somebody that's not reputable or good at their job either, because of the exposure that would give to the attack vectors or whatever. So we have to make sure we do choose the right one, but we have to make sure we do it fairly quickly, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's something that we can, because it sounds like Amir facilitated this. Maybe, as we go back to them too, what is the earliest date of when we can get these audits, at least started, knowing that it's going to take essentially 3 days for them to complete it. We would have an idea on a timeline from that perspective. I guess the other choke point too to getting everything going live is just these developmental updates as well on the TELx website with Khalil. Like Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we said that the last meeting too that we can't really go live with this until we get it up on the website, because then there'd be no way to stake. Correct?
I think that's right. Oh, Amir just said that actually Spearbit and Cantina are actually the same company. It's just a matter of how many auditors we get. Telcoin has used Cantina in the past. Okay, so I think that sort of settles that.
Okay,
It's just
so
a matter
really
of
the amount of
just
people
a number,
that are on it.
yeah. Right.
Okay. Well, it's essentially
Sorry.
2 versus 4, but it doesn't seem like an associate security researcher. Like, again, based on what you put in there, Mike, it's a junior auditor, often newer to formal audits, may assist with documentation, test coverage, and less complex contract logic under supervision. Like, if we have to have somebody that we're paying to be supervised to do what they're doing, like, I'd prefer, not have somebody like that on the file. But I guess that's a way for them to get some experience. But
Mike, if you still got Amir on the line, maybe you can ask him, do we have a choice in this? I mean, we've got to go with all these guys. So if we don't have a choice, we might as well push the button now rather than delay it even more.
Right. Yeah. No, I think we can choose which level we would want. I think we're kind of all similarly aligned that going with Cantina is probably the best route, just based on the relative complexity of what we're getting audited here. Is not. I mean, we're getting audited Uniswap pools for, and their linkage with TELx. So I don't think it's also overtly complex, but that's just my view from the cheap seats, not really fully understanding how all these things work.
yeah, I would say let's hold off on actually making a decision until maybe we get some conversations with Amir and Grant just to get their perspectives, because it sounds like none of us have any experience with this kind of stuff. I'd like to get, at least someone who has some knowledge, going through this process with these companies. Like, it sounds like Tailpoint Holdings has, like you said, worked with Cantina. Then, I'd prefer to, take a little bit more time, make sure we do this right. Like, I don't want to rush into it and have any potential issues, right? Like I know we said that the target we want to kind of shoot for is kind of like that July, target. So we have essentially a month to kind of get things going. I would say over the next couple days or week, let's talk to Grant and Amir, get their perspective, and we could always, approve in the TELx Council chat outside of a meeting. So, like, technically we can, get some due diligence done in the next couple days, come to a consensus next week, and then put things forward and see what they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get some sounding off Amir.
Yeah, I'd like to see if Sherlock Group, because they've done some work as well, I think, with Telcon Holdings.
They have, yeah.
And if we got a comparison from them, maybe they'll come in under 10. I don't know. But there will be a couple of phases probably as well. They'll point out some bugs that need to be fixed, and then there'll be a bit of rework and then another kind of final on it. So I think you're looking at about probably 2 weeks elapsed if they can start immediately, just to get things turned round. So we've still got time within that July timeframe to kind of take a pause and make sure we're on the right track, because we will only really get one shot at this. So we want to make sure we do it right.
Yeah, and it'll be cheaper if we all get together and get the TEL price up.
Oh, I missed that.
That would be more beneficial, so that our budget is not exposed as much. But yeah, just keep in mind, budget wise, I think we have 10 million outside of anything we are going to save from the adjustment to the potential TELx IP that Mike will let you go through in just a minute here. But keep in mind, at the current prices, this would be essentially, about half of our budget for the year to kind of get this up and going. And we've already kind of budgeted roughly about 1.4 by the looks of it from all of the already approved TELx IP. So just keep that in mind too.
Grant is listening in, and
nope, there he is. Yeah.
Oh,
Get him up here.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Grant, how you doing?
hey, thanks for jumping on real quick, Grant. We won't waste too much of your time. I know you're really busy, but we're trying to make a decision on the audit of these V4 pools and their integration with the TELx platform for this update we're hoping to push out in June. End of June, and I just wanted to get your feedback on what you think the complexity of the audit might be, and what if we go with the Cantina level audit and save ourselves a few dollars.
Yeah, that's so there's a couple of different strategies when it comes to security audits, and I think that to answer your question, I think that a Cantina audit at this stage makes a lot of sense. Something else that we can do as we finish upgrading the website and everything is probably a good idea, or it is definitely a good idea to have like an additional audit, like a follow-up audit for just that infrastructure with like any of the Web3 wallet interactions, etc. But this as a starting point, I think that it makes sense. From my initial reaction is that I think it makes sense to have this initial review. The lead security researcher on the project is a really big, it provides a lot of experience. And this like 2.5 days, this is a pretty popular style of contract. So I would imagine that this is sort of a bread and butter in the wheelhouse for the right type of auditors. The beautiful thing about Cantina and Spearbit, they're the same organization. They label their, depending on the team dynamic, the one's Spearbit, one's Cantina, but they really are known for having an open marketplace for security researchers. So I would imagine that as popular as DeFi is and moving towards a V4 hook and the Uniswap just being such a popular protocol and sort of a defining approach to the space, that there should be some security researchers available that you could find that would really be effective in those 2.5 days.
Okay, well, that's great. I think that helps to guide the council in making a reasonable decision on how to proceed.
Great.
What's your opinion on the Sherlock group? Would they be worth kind of holding back and trying to get a quote from them, or would they come in round about the Cantina level?
I believe that we've got if I'm not mistaken, we've also reached out and talked to Sherlock. I think they're great. There's a lot of similar overlaps. With my understanding is that they also provide like a guild style for security researchers. They're not exclusive, so a lot of the same researchers will be at Spearbit Cantina and at Sherlock, especially for these open style competitions. For the private researcher audits, which is what we're considering at this time for the council, we've started a relationship with Spearbit Cantina for association smart contract audits. In fact, I believe that they're finalizing the report today for our initial one for Telcoin Network. We've also moved forward with a retainer with Spearbit Cantina for now, because we anticipate having several follow-up and security audits. So I think that with those considerations, I would recommend sticking with Spearbit Cantina, at least at this initial stage for these first rounds of audits. It is a best practice to have these periodically reviewed. I think as we upgrade the website and get that launched too, we can have a penetration test for the Web 2, Web 3 sort of infrastructure. And then at that point, it might be more cost effective to even have just like an open style competition for just TELx in general, in which point you could have 2 weeks public audit that just puts these contracts back in scope and just has a lot more eyes on it. So we're anticipating starting our next security audit here in early June for Telcoin Network protocol, and it's going to be 4 weeks long. And yeah, we're expecting hundreds of researchers to come in and try to earn a piece of the pot. So I think Sherlock is definitely a great option. However, right now we're working very closely with Spearbit Cantina in this initial audit to get all these audits off the ground. So I think with that we get an additional discount with the retainer fee. So we could just add this to the retainer and consider it all part of the same Telcoin Association project.
Okay.
That was going to kind of be my question too, is whether or not you think it's negotiable and the relationship, whether or not the pricing could be better. And then there was a second part too, Grant. I think I remember us talking about an aspect of us looking at this audit that may include like the platform or treasury council component as well. I can't remember exactly what it was. But like you just mentioned, if we can roll it into kind of the larger piece of the puzzle to reduce the fees individually, then I think that makes a lot more sense too.
Yes, I think so. I'm working very closely with our representatives from Spearbit, and I think that they're very, I enjoy working with them. So I think more than welcome I'm happy to step in and try to negotiate this further. I know we've had, from what I can tell, the price point seems to be competitive.
Okay.
Based on our
that's probably because it was Amir that requested the bids. And I assume that's all. Or the bid may even be under the umbrella of all the stuff you're doing with the Telcoin network audits. I'm not sure, but
I'll be happy to double check that. I will confirm that because it should be.
Okay.
If that is the case, then is there a portion that we would have to pay from like the TELx Council, or how would that work in terms of taking the cost of this particular audit and putting it into kind of like the basket with the entirety of the Telcoin network audits?
Mm-hmm. So we in the year 2 issuance for TEL IP 1, we had set aside. At the time, it was about $500,000 worth of TEL. That was at 0.0067 ish. So with the current price, we're kind of cutting into that quite a bit. So I think this is something that I'm open to discuss. This is this is something that I've been thinking about as we move forward. But if the council has extra budget, I think that would go a long way to help kind of cover that. Obviously, like it's all the same team, and we want the entire platform to succeed. So, however the money comes from, wherever the money ends up coming from, I think we'll figure that out. But I'm happy to have a follow-up call with that on tomorrow. Actually, we have our next meeting. So.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll try to bring that up tomorrow during the call, just because I know for year 2 issuance we were allotted an additional 10 million TEL as part of our budget.
Yes.
And then with some of the TELx IP that Mike will talk about soon, we're also looking at reducing some of the rewards from deprecated pool to a new pool. So there's going to be some benefit from there, but again, we don't know how long that's going to last. So it may only be a couple 100,000 TEL, maybe upwards of 1 million TEL, which is not going to have too much of an impact. But I guess at this point, every little bit helps.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think we're all on the same team. We all wanted to security is paramount, right? That's the entire thing. So yeah, I think we're happy to figure this out.
Okay, sounds good. I think we'll, like you said, take it to a different call, and I think we've got a pretty good understanding from your perspective. So thanks for jumping on last minute. Does anybody else have any questions for Grant while he's here?
Just one final one, Grant. On the development side of things that Amir's been working on with these V4 hooks for rewards, and do you know if he's actually run some tests? Is our stuff ready for the audit, or is there still a little bit more work for him to do on it? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. I would imagine in order to get an accurate quote from the auditors, it needs to be complete. So I'd imagine it is complete, or at least very, very, very close to being done.
Great. Okay. Lovely. Thank you.
Perfect.
Right.
Is there any other questions for Grant? I think I might have one. I don't know if you have any update on the NFT stuff for the safe, like the operational wallet, where we were going to send all the budget stuff, or if the Tau was just going to continue to do it. I would assume probably no updates as you guys are busy with TELcoin Network, but it just came across my head. I thought I'd ask while you were here.
Yes, no updates on that front just yet. But yeah, it is something. That's the way governance is intended to work. It's definitely something that we will figure out. I'm kind of targeting later this year once things kind of settle down with the protocol launching.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's a big problem that we need to fix right now. Like you said, you guys have access to it, and we can just guide you as what we need to do. So no rush, in my opinion. I just was curious. That's all. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, and Amir did say, just did comment back to me that the code is complete. Yes, so we are ready for audit. Yep.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Great. All right. Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Anytime.
Thanks, Grant.
Okay. So we talked about that. We talked about the cost of the audit. We talked a little bit about the UI. Go live. Obviously, we'll have to wait for that. Mike, maybe I'll give you the floor now to do a quick pitch on the official forum proposal. I know we've talked about it over the last couple meetings as well, but let's open it up to the eMXN pool that we're looking at doing.
Yeah, so I did submit the proposal. Sorry about the delay on that, and I forgot to post it in the forum before I submitted it. I think I went a little bit out of order. But ultimately we've been discussing it for quite a while, and this pool will help to benefit a very large remittance corridor between the U.S. and Mexico, and help us to sort of put ourselves on the map in that corridor for digital cash remittances. And the necessity of this pool allows us, or not the additional benefit of having this pool allows many of the states in the continental U.S. to participate, whereas it'll be a combination of DeFi pools and something that is an internal project called AmirX to mint stablecoins in certain jurisdictions. This will help us to give a more robust and expansive access point to users that want to send money cross borders from U.S. to Mexico without any limitations. So that's sort of the point of the pool, if you will. And then in order to bootstrap the liquidity in that pool, we want to offer some incentives, at least initially, to get enough volume in there for the pool to be useful. We don't want to have $10,000 of assets in a pool. We want to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a pool and make it worth people's while to do that. So that's the proposal for this pool, and the deprecation of sort of underperforming pool and Telmatic to help fund it. And then we would deprecate a pool that was issuing 2.77777 million, Tel and then reallocate that to 2.4 million, which would then generate an additional 3 million Tel annually or so for the council's use for other things or for other pools as we grow and figure out where we want to target incentives going forward.
Okay, and just to confirm, I know it was on the proposal, but just so everybody else knows too, this will be a pool on Uniswap v4 on Polygon, which will be kind of a temporary pool until we can get things going with the Telcoin network and Telcoin's eUSD digital cash. Obviously, for us, we want to continue to push. Obviously, the Telcoin issued digital cash dollars tokens. So this is kind of just a temporary thing until we get things going on the Telcoin banking side of things.
Sure, but I mean, keep in mind that this is actually using the eMXN Telcoin digital cash on the recipient side. It's just using USDC on the sending side initially, because EUSD, of course, is not really a viable product until the bank is live. And then once Telcoin Network and the bank both come online, then there will be an incentive for us to push that volume to, rather than USDC and eMXN, to EUSD and eMXN. So at some point in the future, we would bridge, the gap would be bridged, and then we would push the incentives for people to withdraw and deposit liquidity into the Telcoin issued US dollar digital cash. But I think that's the point you're trying to make, Andrew. But this is a temporary measure and a temporary pool for incentives. And all pools should be considered temporary until they're self-sustaining for the most part. That's sort of the goal, is to try to over time increase the total number of pools to be self-sufficient and providing an adequate yield for users without Telcoin issuance, so that we can continue to grow the ecosystem, grow the total pool volume, and decrease the price impact across all transactions across the ecosystem.
So, Mike, just to be clear, the yield we're talking about is fees payable in TEL token, yeah?
Yeah, those will be the incentive.
Yeah, that'll be the incentive. Yes, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what you mean there, but
sorry.
I think I know what he's getting at. It's just more like the fee, similar to how the Uniswap V4 pools will be a combination of USDC and eMXN in your fees as part of Uniswap, which you would claim at Uniswap. Sure. And the incentives when you're taking it on TELx, those incentives will be paid in TEL.
That's correct. Yeah. So the fees would be paid to you in the two underlying assets, just like they would on any Uniswap pool, where you can claim USDC or eMXN and swap them freely. But yeah, the issuance would come in TEL. So the only thing you wouldn't be earning any TEL in this pool outside of issuance, but you would be earning yield in stable coins.
Sure, I understand that. Understand the split and what's the difference between incentives and the fees from the pool. But I thought that the idea of the remittances, at least to start with, when we start running them, the fees will be earned or paid in Telcoin. Is that changing, or are we not running the TEL being the native token of the remittances?
The TEL, once we're on Telcoin Network, TEL will be the gas token. But when you are sending USDC to a Mexican user, there will be no fee in Telcoin. But the token will be used as the gas token for the network.
I gotcha. Okay, so that's really going to come in when the Telcoin network gets launched.
Correct.
So the yield, just to clarify, Tim, the yield comes from Uniswap in terms of the fees generated from there. Not the fees for remittance that the TEL gas is used for. Yeah.
Yeah, got that.
Correct.
So just one final one, Mike. The eMXN, is that a valid token on Uniswap, or is it? It
is.
now?
Well, it's a valid token on Polygon, but I think we've put in the request. I'll have to double back on that, but the request to have it visualized, you can search it on Uniswap now if you have the contract address, which is on the Telcoin website. But I don't know that it actually shows the logo or is searchable at this moment. But that'll have to happen before we
I'm just
launch
looking
this
at
tool.
it now. eMXN is not viewable on Uniswap right now.
Yeah, and so that will obviously have to change, but that's a fairly short timeline to get that done. I think we can. I think I'll put that on my checklist with next time I chat with Amir and the guys, just about making sure that is underway.
Mike, I have a question. How is the eMXN token backed? Is it one-to-one by Mexican peso, or how does it work?
The eMXN is actually backed with US dollars at the mid market rate, like as far as I understand. But it's redeemable with our contract partner banks in Mexico. So it would be redeemed 1-for-1 for any Mexican peso at the off ramp institution in country in Mexico. But when it's in its digital cash form floating around, I believe it's backed with US treasuries.
Okay, and so if I were to participate and have eMXN tokens, the only thing I can do as a user away from Mexico is to sell it for USDC in the pool, right?
What you'll be able to do, you have very limited use case for the eMXN if you're outside of Mexico, because you would be able to swap it for USDC in the US or in Canada or whatever country you're in, and then cash out to your fiat currency. But the only place where you'd be able to cash eMXN out to Mexican pesos would be in Mexico.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
Good stuff.
one last question, Mike. Well, for everyone, really. Is the clock now ticking on the vote here on Snapshot?
It is, yep. Yeah, I didn't realize when you said it on Snapshot on the group chat that it was actually on Snapshot already. But like Mike said, he kind of did it out of order. But it looks like there's already 3 for, 0 against. I know I haven't voted yet. I will after this call. So I'm not sure who else hasn't. But I think we have until June 3rd, technically, to get the votes in. So we have a couple more days to do so if you haven't.
Oh. Yeah, and my apologies on batting out of order there. I kind of forgot about the
It's a slap on the wrist, Mike. It's okay.
the recommended sequence of events. This just used to be a lot easier. In the old days, we didn't have councils and votes and stuff. We just come up with good ideas and just do them.
Yeah. I've always found
times have changed.
I've always found it's easier to beg for forgiveness than permission. So it's okay.
Mike, at the end of the day, this one's a no-brainer, so I shouldn't worry.
Yeah. So any other comments from the council? I'll just look at the texts and see if anybody's commenting. But yeah,
it is available on Uniswap.
It's on there. You can't search it as eMXN. You just have to look it under the contract code, which is there. I was going to post it to the group chat, but TEL-ETH just posted it. That's the contract address right there for it. But to Mike's point too, it is on the Telcoin telco.in website under the digital cash section. So everything is there. It's on the Polygon network. So it's all there.
And it'll be fully searchable on Uniswap, and on Polygon Scan. Once we go, just hit the switches on all those. We have a priority account or a VIP account with Polygon Scan and with so that they can update the token information so that it displays properly, and that'll happen before we launch this pool.
Okay, and it does look like it shows 141. Oh, that's transfer. Sorry, there's only 6 holders, which one of the addresses has 99%.
Not the Mike.
Yeah, that's probably a Telcoin Holdings wallet address. I would imagine.
Likely, I would assume.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Last call for questions on this TELx IP. Again, either from the council or from the community. BZ, anything from YouTube or any of the streams on this proposal? I'm not seeing anything, but I think we'll be okay.
BZ did comment earlier that on the sound quality, which I think has improved, and I think that's because Some people have boosted the server, which is great. Thank you. It makes a difference, certainly from our point of view as well.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I haven't had any dropouts or anything, so that's good. Okay, I think we can move on from that. Okay, so missing rewards. I'll touch base with Amir on that. Last time we did talk, he was obviously focusing on the V4 hook contract and all that kind of stuff too. So he did mention he was going to try to get it done by the end of the month. So with the email that I did send to him, I will follow up and get back to you guys on that. Outside of that, looks like the budget management was another thing. Ty, I don't know if you want to kick that off and we can touch base on that. And then I think we can open it up for a Q&A with the community and then wrap things up.
Yeah, before we go, can we just briefly circle back to the TEL-BAL pool?
Sure.
What was the, I know we were talking about deprecating that towards the end of June, beginning of July. Was that going to be earmarked for another pool, or was it just?
So we have TEL-BAL and the TEL-DFX pool that is essentially going to be done in a couple days. June, I think it's June 4th or June 5th at the end of the period. So those two pools are going to be deprecated. And then we're going to hold those rewards back until obviously we have everything ready to go with V4, which the plan was to get it up by July. And then we're going to deprecate the wrapped Polygon or Matic in favor of this eMXN one. And then we also did talk loosely kind of about deprecating the TEL-ETH pool on Balancer, but we wanted to make sure that the TEL-ETH pools on Poly and Base were up and running first before we considered that. So
yes, sorry, I've got confused. Yeah, TEL-BAL is already getting deprecated. I thought, yeah, okay, so TEL-ETH, that leaves TEL-BTC,
TEL-BTC, TEL-USDC, and TEL-ETH on Balancer.
Right, yeah, of course. Yeah, so TEL-ETH is the next one, not TEL-BAL, sorry. Yeah.
Well, TEL-BAL's already earmarked to go.
Yeah.
Same with TEL-DFX.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first two to go are TEL-BAL and TEL-DFX. And then we'll likely wait until things are good to go. Obviously, with the proposal that is up to Snapshot now, the wrapped Polygon or Matic pool, we deprecated for eMXN and USDC. And then the one after that, so the fourth deprecation that we would be pushing forward would be the TEL-ETH, just because, again, whether or not it makes sense to have two specific TEL-ETH pools, one on Balancer protocol, one on Uniswap, both on Polygon. Let's try to, push everything probably towards Uniswap so that we keep those funds available for other developments that we may need, which may be down the road in the not too distant future. Will be another, EXYZ kind of pool.
Yeah, sorry, I mistyped. It should have been TEL-ETH, not TEL-BAL on that other topics for discussion on the agenda. So that's where I've confused myself, because TEL-BAL is already getting deprecated. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that confusion.
No, that's okay. And Mike, do we have confirmation that those two pools are going to be deprecated as of next week?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't know. Was I supposed to do that?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody was earmarked to do it. I know we said
put
the end
something
of
in the
period.
Telcoin. Yeah, let me make sure. I'll make a note in the Telcoin Lab Select server.
I would assume it's going to be Amir. But just because I know we said at the end of this period that we were going to stop, those rewards going forward. So essentially, we'll have maybe another 6 million technically with those two pools out for a month that we can put towards budgetary purposes as well.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't want them rolling over for another period.
No. Well, no, I don't.
No. I'll make sure. I'm gonna make a note of that right now. So.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, and then Ty, you want to kick off the budget management
Yeah,
discussion?
I think it's important that we do keep focus on this because there is a lot going on. We do have TEL floating around in different places now. So I'm really just opening it up for discussion on how to manage and track where everything is, almost like a set of accounts for our use. A simple spreadsheet system, I think, would be fine. Just so
I've
that
got
we
that
don't
budget one that I put together initially, Ty. I can update that with kind of more of an in and out kind of perspective of like the budget. Like we can have like a list of all the TELx IPs, what the expected costs are going to be, and then we can have more of like a budget kind of file section that anytime we pay something or, we're essentially saving through non-distribution of rewards, I can add that to that budget. Because now our budget actually technically went from 10 million to closer to 16 now with the deprecation of those two pools and saving those rewards for the next month.
That's just so we've all got visibility, because I was trying to keep it all in my head and that's just not working. So yeah, that'd be great. The other thing I'd like to pull up is that we've all suffered from a drop in price, which has a huge impact on our budget and usage plans. So we need to think of some way to either hedge or protect against price swings. If TEL goes up, it's great. If TEL goes down, it's a big hit for us. So yeah, open to suggestions on that. I was going to suggest putting some of it in one of the V4 pools to take advantage of the good yields we're currently getting, but I don't know how that would be managed by the council, or whether or not we even think that's a good idea. And if anybody's got any other ideas about how to hedge against price volatility, then that would be great as well. So it's really just trying to raise the profile on how we look after our TEL, because just having it in a safe somewhere not working for us, I think is a bad idea. But what a good idea is, I'm still open for good suggestions.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we do there either. I think initially maybe Ty, just to not get too excited, maybe we just kind of, pay things as we go for now. I think we have a lot of development on the go, obviously right now. There's going to be a lot of things kind of going in and out as it relates to that budget. Maybe, once we get a little bit, less busy with all these kind of projects and proposals, then maybe we can iron out like maybe a little bit of a better plan, and there's an allocation of 15-20% of the budget that we can maybe put into TELx or something like that, to your point, to try to get a yield off of it. It's just a little dicey when you do that, because what if things go negatively? We got to be careful with that perspective as well too. But to your point, again, I'm open to suggestions on what we do, but I think maybe just at the onset, maybe we just keep it simple, and as things come up, we kind of just pull from it for now.
Can I just say I agree with both of you. I think that's a great idea, Ty. And if we are representatives on the TEL-Pool Council, and some of us actually employ these tactics with our own money, our own Telcoin, and put it in the pool because we get that return, because we're not just waiting for the price to go up of TEL. Why shouldn't we do that as a council? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to doing it. It's just how do we do it, and what do we allocate, what pool do we go in, all the specifics of actually doing it. That it's a lot easier doing it as an individual, because it's your decision, it's your money. But now we're talking about an association's money that we're trying to do the best for the community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's food for thought and something we can think about for another time and a separate discussion.
Yeah, I don't want to keep kicking this discussion down the road, Ty. I just I'm not sure what the best strategy is to try to maximize the budget to hedge.
There's almost a fiduciary responsibility that comes into play there too, right? I love the idea, but I want to just be cautious of any sort of optics that come out of that. So I think it's worth exploring, though.
Yeah, no, valid points. It was just an idea I had.
Yeah.
And hopefully it won't be a problem because TEL's going to rocket over the next, few months. But yeah.
This is not financial advice, Ty.
Not financial
I like
advice.
the idea. I like the idea of operating on almost like a cash accounting basis, but right, like when we have the funds, we can spend them, but we almost allow for a buffer for some of that volatility, right? That we always keep enough kind of quote unquote in the bank or in the treasury to feel comfortable with where things are at.
Well, and another idea too might be like we know the cycles, typically almost every 4 years, right? Like, do we try to set targets to, sell some TEL to, EUSD to hold it for the bear market to maybe potentially buy more at a lower price and hedge that way as well. And, maybe we set a target of, we can only have X amount of, USDC or stable coins or digital cash as part of, the budget from that perspective too, and hedge it that way. But again, there's pros and cons to both sides of that, but it's a tough thing to manage when we're using funds that aren't technically our own to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a long-term plan that needs quite a bit of thought, but let's go with the budget that we've got for now to pay for things, and then we'll work out if this idea is going to have legs. I think it's a great idea. We just need to work it out, but not just now.
Maybe we can take it off the agenda then and just discuss it in the background in the chat and see if we can formulate our ideas and get some level of consensus as to what we do with it. Maybe at the start of a financial year, we allocate so much for TELx, so much to be traded when we think the price is right, and the rest kept in TEL, something like that. Not too complicated, but just something where we're kind of covering our backs a little bit for a price drop. Yeah,
I think that's a good idea, Ty. If we kind of set some standards or guidelines, guardrails at the beginning of the year to say, hey, you know what, we can do X amount with this, X amount with that, but we got to hold, 60% in TEL or something, whatever the numbers are. But I like the ideas.
cool.
Okay. Any other comments on that? I think that was kind of the last thing on the agenda. Will, I think you just unmuted yourself.
Yeah, about the budgets. I like the idea of selling some TEL to get stable coins and put those stable coins in the pools because it's very less volatile and we can enjoy the volume and with the low risk. But I guess the question is to know when to sell the TEL to start using the pools.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. A lower risk, lower volatility. Okay, well, I don't think we're gonna come up with a plan today to put all that together, but I'd say let's continue the conversation and then see what we can do. I know we're getting to the point now where year 3 is still 6 months out, but it's gonna probably happen faster than we think. So maybe over the next month or two, let's try to build some guardrails, guidelines on what we want to do, what we feel comfortable with. And kind of take it from there. Does that make sense to everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Easy enough. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Community Q&A. What do we got? Server boosts.
Yeah.
BZ and Mr. Hamilton. Boo. Yes, thank you for the reminder. I was talking to Leo. We did have an update on the Dune Analytics. Leo was just putting forward kind of an updated template in the way that it's kind of set out. So I'll share the link with the rest of the TELx Council in our private chat. Let's review it over the next maybe week, and then maybe we can go live with that analytics page by this before maybe the next council meeting in a couple weeks. So we're getting there. Leo has made some adjustments based on some recommendations. I know we had a meeting with him not too long ago too, to kind of go through some stuff. So we should have some updates on that. But that was just as of this morning that he gave me that update with some of that stuff, and I hadn't had a chance to reach out to the rest of the TELx Council to share the updated website with them. So I'll do that after the call. Okay. Any other questions that anybody is seeing in the chat? Going once, twice, 3 times. All right. Well, another good call, gents. Appreciate everybody jumping on and contributing to the conversations and everything. So, Will, I think you were on notes, and I think BZ said he's got a bot that's going to try to summarize everything as well as we're going through, so we can review that as a team too, and just align on the notes from today's call, and then we can work towards all the stuff that we need to for the next couple weeks until the next call on June 11th. So with that being,
I just noted that a couple of audience members just joined, Martina and Roger Clue. Maybe they got the time wrong because we're just wrapping up rather than just starting. So sorry guys if you've come on and we're just ending.
I'm just seeing BZ asking me to advise on something. Wouldn't the deprecate Telcoin price valuation, if it was sold from a safe, would that potentially be a conflict of interest with the council bylaws? I think we're perfectly fine to sell Telcoin and manage the budget as needed. So I don't think there's any concerns about doing that. So obviously we don't want to be selling Telcoin a lot, but at the end of the day too, when we pay out these audits, it's likely that they're not going to accept Telcoin. They'll probably want USDC, or hopefully in the not too distant future EUSD, which will have to essentially sell that TEL for that stablecoin digital cash in order to process that payment. So not ideal that we are selling Telcoin, but again, at the end of the day, it's to pay for the audits and the infrastructure and maintenance of everything within the TELx ecosystem. So unless I'm understanding that incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure we have authority to do so.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds... No, I think we're okay. I think we can wrap this one up, gents. Again, good call. Looking forward to continuing the conversations on Discord, and we'll catch up live in a couple weeks.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys.